Oh dear.
Hello and welcome to the second instalment of the Affinity Games Highlander League. It is top 8 time, and first I'll give you a brief explanation on how the league was run. Basically, for this league we had 29 players, which turned out to be 5 rounds with a cut to top 8. And in the top 8 we had Luke McLaughlin, James Arthur, myself, my co-commentator, Will Harriman, Kanish, Michael Longford, and Nicholas Savidis. So basically the way we run the top 8 is that all games in the top 8 are best of 5, and the play is determined by whoever was finished higher in Swiss. We also had the fact that just before each player sat down for the match, they got the unique experience of seeing their opponent's deck list before the top 8, before they played their match at top 8. So I was commentating some of the games with Russell Cutting, my co-commentator. How you going, Russ?
Alright, how are you?
We're going pretty good. We also had a Grand Prix top 8 and Luke McLaughlin helping us on doing some of the commentary, which you'll hear his voice later on in the cast. Also, like to at this point as well let you know that if you enjoyed what you see or decide that you want to get into Highlander yourself, that we have the next league starting here in South Australia in Affinity Games on the 27th of August, which will be a good time and good starting point for anyone wanting to get into Highlander itself, as it is a great format and the first format that's specifically for Australians as well. So with that, we'll head to the first game of the top 8, which is William Harriman v Nicholas Savidis. And we are here for the first game on tonight's for the Affinity Games Highlander League. So we have Will Harriman, who's on the right, who's the first seed, playing Goblins. And we have Sav on the left, playing Esper Planeswalkers. And at the moment the players are just briefing over each other's deck lists while we're waiting for the start of game 1. What do you think about this matchup, Russ?
Well, it's really interesting. They're both playing deck lists that aren't really available on the Melbourne meta. They're really unique deck choices. I think that you and Nick designed the Esper, and Will would have done the Goblins deck on his own.
We sort of got the Esper list from a guy in Sydney, and we sort of been working on it this week because we thought it'd be quite a good deck for the Adelaide meta. So players are just drawing their opening hand, and Will, being the first seed from the Highlander League, has the play for the first matchup.
I really like Will's Pokemon sleeve as well. That's a very good choice.
They're very out there choice. As you can see, we had 2 webcams set up to view hands of each other player. Obviously, Sav's a bit better at looking with the camera with his hands.
Looks like they're both kept.
They're both kept, and Will has left up with wooden foothills. And Sav's turn, he just plays a Marsh Flats. Sacks it, goes to 19.
It's the Nick has the Ancient Den there, Artifact Land. Is the Esper deck sort of geared towards using the Artifact Land? Is there some sort of reason for those?
It's just for Trinket Mage, so it just gives you extra value. The list that we saw in Sydney was playing it, and he kept it in. I cut them the day before because I was also going to play this list, but decided at the last minute not to. But it's definitely quite solid. It's very good against the aggro decks.
Yeah, I quite like the Trinket Mage interaction. I did a similar thing when I was playing the blue-red Tinker list. It's very good artifact lands.
So Sav leads off with Ponder, and we see Tameo, Cryptic, and Supreme Verdict.
That's
on
very,
top of
very
they are
good
some
cards.
very, very good cards.
Yes,
he's looking at it.
Supreme Verdict, especially good against a Goblin deck geared towards the creatures.
It's very good, and he, by the looks of things, is going to shuffle. Must be very land light.
Incredibly important if you're running a control mirror. If you know your opponent's on aggro, you need to be hitting those land drops. You can't afford to stumble.
Right. Especially with this Esper deck, it has a lot of ways to accelerate your land. So the goal of the deck is to put Planeswalkers into play very quickly and very early. And Savanzi's turn, and it's on Harriman, who didn't have a 1-drop surprisingly from the aggro deck, but leads with Jide on turn 2. Just not that good in this matchup.
Not a very good card against control. No, it's much more geared towards the mid range or aggressive mirrors. So
he leads off with Sav pays 2 life and pays Thoughtseize.
Well, he's got a very good one.
Very average hand there.
Very average hand, and taking the Skull Clamp's really
getting
so he's got
Strip Mine, Tundra, Sacred Foundry, Skull Clamp, and a Golden Chieftain, which gets quickly put into the graveyard.
Do you think the Golden Chieftain's correct here?
I think it's 100% the correct. The Skull Clamp is very, very good out of the Golden's deck,
yeah.
But it needs creatures, and cutting all the creatures out the Golden's deck is a very good strategy.
I suppose it makes both equipment completely null and void.
That's true, and it completely slows him down too.
Yeah.
It means he's going to do nothing on his turn 3 essentially.
Especially with the Aether Vial draw, which again does next to nothing here.
Yeah.
Mm.
But he strip mines him, so at least Sav with just the planes in play.
That's pretty savage.
Which is good, but Sav ripped another hand disruption spell, probably a turn too late.
Well, if he gets a black mana, he's still pretty good. I mean, Will's holding nothing but lands now, so...
The one reason why I didn't play the Esper deck is that I couldn't get the mana base right. I feel, Engine Explosives for 1 is great off the top deck of Sav.
That's a pretty strong draw there. Will's just drawn another land, which... was that a lightning bolt, I see?
No, it was a mountain.
Mountain, so no good. Those white bordered lands, treacherous.
Well,
no, it is a lightning bolt.
Sav drew the island, which is...
Well, that's going to pop and 2 for 1. Very
2
good
for
there.
1. 2 of the better cards in Harriman's deck as well.
Especially the Jitty doing absolutely nothing in this sense.
So Harriman draws. Drew, I think it's
It's
Tangawar.
Tangawar. I don't think that's particularly strong right here.
Not really. When both players have nothing in play, it's actually not that great.
I mean, Sav is keen to play
Sav's
the long
probably
game, and that's just going to be all
my
for
new
it.
Sav has probably never ever seen that card before, so he had to read it.
It is even the From the Bolts different art one, but here Savidus is happy just to keep playing land drops, and
But he has failed at drawing lands.
well, he's still got a Path to Exile in his hand.
That was a good draw.
What's he taking there?
I think you just drew Magnus of the Moon.
Well, that is
some powerful.
I mean,
It's not a
doing
great
too
here,
much right
but
now.
it's still gonna do it. It's still gonna do enough.
Are there too many double white cards in Nick's list here?
No, there's not a lot of double white cards.
And he's just happy playing a. Is that a fetid?
It's a Fetid Heath.
Fetid Heath. What's
Take
he?
a while,
Take a
goes
White,
down
tapping
to
them.
2. Harriman draws.
I must say though, the longer the game goes, the better for Nick. Or that
For
Magus
for
holding
sure.
a Jitte is going to pose some problems if Nick can't get rid of it quickly. Although he does have a Path to Exile in hand, which he should be able to play soon.
It's another Goblin has hit the play for Harriman.
Quite weak here, considering his hand isn't chock full of goblins, but still quite a good card, especially with Jitte with a double strike.
But this is the crucial bit where Sav gets untapped with both of his
Basic lands.
basic lands.
Holding up Swords to Plowshare, which is and I believe a Path to Exile, so I'd say he's in pretty good stead right now.
I think so too. Because though he gets the swords that turns on the polluted delta in his hand as well.
Well, that's very good. I was going to say I can't agree with it main phase, but if he has a fetch land, that's quite good for him.
He's got the... Harriman's doing some thinking here.
And whether he wants to gain some extra life, I don't think that's important in this matchup.
Not really.
The +2/+2 and a Warren Instigator is quite powerful here with double strike.
So
Could end the game.
Sav now gets to play the polluted delta.
That'll fix his mana issues.
Which fixes his mana issues, helps him get around.
That Fetid Heath is turned on as well,
that
so he is very
Heath,
good now.
And the fact that Tangawar is now down to 1, which means that's not very impactful.
It hasn't really done much.
It hasn't done a lot. It slowed him down by roughly a turn, but
that hasn't done enough.
But I don't think it's done enough either. I think Harriman...
In response to the equip searching out, I imagine he's going to get a white-black land here to Path to Exile the Warren Instigator.
He does. He
correct.
searches his scrubland.
Ah, nice little proxy there.
Of course, in the Adelaide Highlander League, you're allowed 20 proxies in your deck, so you will see quite a few decks in this top 8 that do have some amount of proxies.
I don't mind that as long as they're colour and well read. And here we have the Path to Exile, and that's definitely going to help Savidus basically take control over this game.
Yeah, especially because the Tangawar doesn't do anything after this turn.
Yes, it very much stalled Harriman completely. It's just going to be sacrificed and nickel on tap with a grip full of cards and board full of mana.
Plays Cavern. Cavern's normally a good card against the decks, but Sav's deck doesn't play a lot of counter spells, so it's actually not that good against Sav, to be honest.
More of a tap out control deck.
You just basically tap out and you have removal and you have hand disruption. So you do a lot during your turn. You don't do a lot during your opponent's turn.
Here we have a Bitter Blossom, which is even more going to help Savidus take over this game. A 1/1 blocker every turn is nothing to laugh at, even with a
It's a very good card. The old Bitter Blossom.
And you draw for the turn of Stoneforge Mystic, but I think both the really good equipment in Will Harriman's deck have been used between the Jitte and the Skull Clamp, so I can't imagine that doing very much.
Well, we've seen Jitte and we've seen GD Skull Clamp, and it doesn't look like he's searching at all with the Stoneforge.
Fail to find no Batter Skull, but I don't think a deck like this would even play that. So, and
Tangawar.
Bit of rulings question on Tangawar. It will disappear, of course, in Will's next upkeep.
Bitter Blossom trigger.
I mean, with the 2 counters on the Jitte, we can sort of expect the card not to do as much, but it is eating up the counters and not allowing Will to get on the aggressive as he might like to.
Sav top decks Gideon Jura. Gideon Jura is It's a very, very good magic card.
Oh, incredible against this sort of deck.
But he has Liliana, which is also very good.
Yeah.
Against the one creature he has in play. Target -2 is Liliana. Targets will to sacrifice a creature, which will leave Will with no creatures in play, which is a very, very decisive.
Yeah, no pressure. Bitter Blossom and Liliana. I do not like the chance of the aggressive deck. The game's gone far too long.
Yeah, I think so. Like, Will hasn't sort of done any inroads into this game early. The key with Will's Goblin deck is that you do a lot of damage quite early.
And I believe the only damage to Nick has been self-inflicted in this case.
Yeah.
So, and
what's happened here?
That's whether it be a double Trinko's Command or a the other thing that makes 2/1/1 goblins.
Oh, okay.
So 2 mana, 2/1/1. So again, that's not really doing very much. Nick's getting a blocker return.
Yeah.
So, and that Liliana's going to go to work and tick up, and it's going to present a very real threat very quickly. So
especially because he's got Gideon Drew in hand. Gideon Drew is going to just be very, very decisive here in this matchup.
I'd say it might even lock the game up. I don't want to overstate it, but Gideon Drew in this level of
he
game.
he had the Lightning Bolt as his last card, which is very good. Sav discards Mana Drain as well, which I don't like. I think he had Inquisition in hand, which I think I would have rather discarded.
I mean, the Lightning Bolt's not doing all that much either. I'd much have rather against the Gideon to try and put it away after some attacks, but I don't think Lily is particularly good against the aggro decks a lot of the time.
No. The problem is with the Goblins is that your creatures are quite small. They get pumped up by the Goblins, so it sort of works if you can. But Sav plays the Trinket Mage.
Trinket Mage, that's an interesting decision.
I think it's the guy to get Soul Ring, possibly.
Does Soul Ring do much here? I mean, if he still had engineered explosives, I can accept the sort of engineered for 0 to wipe out his team.
That's true. He's going to get Sensei's Divining Top, which is very good. What I found with this Esper deck is that me and Sav were working on changes for it during the week, and I felt the mana base wasn't quite right. Sav still went ahead and played it, but I almost changed this list, but I just couldn't get the mana base right. And top is a big deal with this deck. It helps smooth out the draws to get the colours that you need.
Yeah, between a 3-colour strategy, it can be quite mana intensive, so an early top is quite good. I don't know how useful it is this late game. It's just going to sort of help him put away the game quicker, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And the draw for Savvy still holding Gideon Jura. Is that a Venser in his hand? I see.
It is.
Okay.
And an Inquisition by
the Venser is quite good, especially
the Venser is really, really
yeah.
good here because you get to bounce the Jide and do all sorts of kinds of tricks.
Bounce the Jide, bounce the creature that's holding it.
Yeah.
Or in a pinch, put away a problematic spell that's going to shift a tide, which is rapidly and very convincingly going in Nyx Vitus's favour. Deciding whether to attack with Trinket Mage. No, he's blocking.
Yeah.
Do you think blocking the non-Jute token is
correct? I think that's
correct.
correct. Because that way you still get to kill the dude. Because if you block, so he just pumps it and then it just doesn't die.
At least this way you get him a bit of carded
That's
parity,
correct,
as
yeah.
it were.
So then Sav's tops ends of Harriman turn reveals Damnation, Godless Shrine, and Damnation, Godless Shrine. And what's that third card?
It's not a Chalice of the Void or anything silly like that.
No, definitely not. So Sav pays a life, puts in a token with a Bitter Blossom.
Damnation not really doing a whole lot here.
No,
I mean, it's
not
only
a lot.
putting one. Gideon Jura seems like a much better play on the whole.
Attacks with it, sends in the token into the red zone.
That's really important. It might force a counter off the Jite, but Will doesn't bite.
And now he's put the hammer down. He's played the Gideon Jura.
The Gidfather himself, excellent strategy against any sort of deck.
I think he's just negged the Gideon,
killed
the token. Very, very good here. You still have the blocker. You still have Gideon on 4 life. And it means you leave Harriman with nothing in play.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, his draw, I'm not sure. It doesn't seem too exciting. He's tapping 4
mana.
4 mana is a decent spell. That's a Mog Catcher. That's a tutor to search out goblins from his deck. Very slow. It's self-costing, I think, 3 and a tap, so he can't do it immediately. He's just going to equip that. So this may, in fact, help him find any silver bullets his deck may have against Gideon, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough at this stage.
So puts another token, play the Bitter Blossom, untaps, draws the black artifact land.
Bolt of Whispers. Very good cycle.
Thinking about his turn, what do you think Sav should do here?
I think ticking up the Gideon is... I mean, you do it anyway. The Mogcatcher can tap and negate the effect of Gideon, but it's always good to get that guy up. I mean, attacking... I don't think he's quite ready to attack yet. I mean,
it's really close.
It is very close.
Especially with the Venser in hand. He just decided to attack with the 2 tokens here.
The Venter really swings, but if you plus the Gideon, play the Venter.
I almost think keeping Gideon at 0, like 0 and Gideon making the 6/6, bouncing the Molecatcher, getting in for about 8 there would have been quite good.
I think there's a very big argument there for activating the Gideon. That way you have the Venter, so you can either bounce the dude on the swing back, or you can bounce the Jit, which I think is a very valid strategy as well. Because you can't. That way you have Venser and you have the token. That way you can't kill both, and you kill his dude. So he can either pump his dude, or he can. Either way, he'll just lose a dude.
Yeah. Just notice that Nick only actually has 1 blue mana available, so the Venser strategy we've just discussed is not as good as we thought it would be. Quite illegal, in fact. Looks like Will's drawing a lot of land. It's not a deck that's going to need a lot of land, I would imagine, being Goblins. If he isn't playing Battleskull or any of the high-end spells, I think Molecatcher might be the highest.
Yeah, that would be 5. It'd be Siege Game Commander.
Siege Game Commander, oh yes. Extraordinarily good card full of deck full of Goblins.
Just scrolling over.
Here we have former Adelaide Highlander champion Alan Carey behind Nick Savitas, probably offering some stellar game advice.
Doing his Wolverine impersonation.
And Nick is just happy to let the game fate progress. He's very much in control of this match at the moment. Seems pretty confident.
There's no way this Bitter Blossom's going to kill him.
No.
Before Will can, at this stage.
No, not at all. Especially the Molecatcher can't really attack because it's only going to attack Gideon, which can be blocked by a Bitter Blossom token, or you can search up a Goblin of some variety, which may help a little bit. Maybe a Siege Gang Commander to, create a wealth of creatures
for sure.
that can deal with some of the Blossom tokens and maybe put him back a little bit in this game at least.
Yeah, this Gideon's going to be a big deal out of Harriman's deck. Just scrolling over Harriman's deck list while he's playing.
How many ways does he have to deal with it?
Very little. The best hope I think that he has is that he has a hasty creature and tries to attack with the tokens of the Jide.
And we have a Kiki.
We have a Kiki here,
and that can make another Molecatcher, which although it does cost 5 itself. And that will only make a 3/3 that can attack this turn, which may be the way to do things.
Yeah, looking at Harriman's list here, he doesn't have a lot of ways to deal with the Gideon.
I believe you've got the Lightning Crafter, the Goblin Champion that can tap to Lightning Bolt things, but even that, 3 damage a turn isn't all that much, especially when Gideon +2s each and every turn.
For sure.
And then it can just neg 2 and kill it. And here we have a token, I believe the Molecatcher attacking Gideon.
No, he's activated the token.
I'll activate the token to find another Goblin. That is an interesting strategy. I mean, that's tutored up 2 creatures this turn.
I think he's looking at Siege. I see Siege Gang coming to the top of his deck.
Well, that's pretty incredible. I mean, putting that down and copying Kiki allows you to amass an army very quickly, but that just makes the Damnation
that Sav has on top of his deck.
That Sav has in the top 3 cards of his deck. He's been keeping there for a while, quite strong.
Yeah, Damnation in line with attacking with a Gideon means there's not much life.
No, that will...
which is a very quick way to end this game.
That would be quite the blowout. So it looks, even though Will doesn't know it does seem he's playing right to Nick Savitas' hands here.
So Harriman's still here deciding. He's got a few options in his deck.
Knowing what we know, or more to the point, not knowing what we know, would you go for the Siege Gang Commander to try and get a bit back in this game, like sort of risk it all, or would you?
I think so. I think
looking at his list, does he have much else? I mean,
he doesn't have a lot, to be honest.
The Skirk Fire Marshal.
The best thing would probably just be search Goblin Recruiter and to
that can stack the deck.
Which can stack the deck and give you a threat every turn that Sav has to deal with it, which is probably your best chance of getting back in this game. Because at the moment you're going to have to do something special. Because you're not going to be able to win otherwise. You're so far behind here. Sav has a soft lock on the game with the Gideon.
Yeah.
You're not going to be dealing damage to Sav anytime soon.
Well, I know young Will Harriman quite well, and his facial expressions here aren't...
He's agonising quite quite a lot.
He's a player who's usually jovial, and as soon as things start going downhill, you will know about it. So it doesn't look like he's extraordinarily confident in this game. He's trying desperately here to find a way out. Because
no one card's going to get him out of this situation. He needs a sequence of cards, and that's why I think the Recruiter is quite good. But he searched...
He's gone the Lightning Crafter, the champion of Goblin or Shaman that can tap to deal 3 damage. I'm not sure if that's quite good.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure I'm a fan of that either.
just with Gideon's ability to -2 to tap to destroy target tap.
Does it put it in play?
It does put it in play, I believe, which it has done. He's championed the Kiki Jiki. It won't have haste, so he won't be able to activate it for some time. I'm not really sure if that was much for correct play. I'd rather
end of the turn, Sav tops.
And he found a Jace by the look of things. He revealed that to Harriman. See what the draw for the
Sav
turn
puts a
is.
token in play with a bit of Blossom.
He's a very conscientious player, that man.
Sav's moving his cards at lightning speed in the hand, so we can't actually see what he's got.
Doing his best impersonation of myself. But Nick Savitas is a player in Adelaide who has leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. It looks like a damnation.
It is a damnation. So he's attacking with the tokens.
Interestingly enough, this will leave a Kiki Jiki on the battlefield, which
feel
does
like
give Harriman a chance to draw, I don't know, something to...
But he has cast this damnation, which is very, very good here.
Oh yes, puts away, but it does, like I say, leave Kiki. So if Will Harriman draws a relevant goblin, he can make 2 copies of that, one with haste, which can be equipped to the Jitte to perhaps do something.
But Sav gets the plus the...
Getting at 8 is definitely an issue. I mean, it's going to take a long time to get through that brick wall, and a bit of Blossom every turn is going to negate that pretty swiftly. So there's a pretty decisive draw here for Harriman.
This needs to probably be Recruiter.
At least that. Either that or a Ringleader.
Yeah, it needs to be something that does some...
2 Ringleaders here might be
creeps.
good, but he's got so many lands. I haven't seen what he's drawn yet. Has he drawn for the turn?
He has drawn for the turn. He just put it flat. Looks like an artifact.
An artifact.
Possibly. So it may be the Mana Vault.
Okay.
But
it's definitely an
super hard to tell what it is.
Did you say Mana Vault, the 3 mana card that...
The 1 mana one that makes 3 mana?
Oh, Mana Vault, yes.
Yeah, Mana Vault,
I was thinking of Manolith.
But he's equipped the Kiki Jiki with the Jitte and has attacked the Gideon, removing all the counters, which will put the Gideon down to 2.
And then back up. Jitte.
Storm of
Amethyst. That's an interesting card. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to play, but Nick Savitas has access to so much mana, it's not going to make much of a difference here.
So he tops end the turn, revealing Godless Shrine.
That's Jason Mind Sculptor and a Brainstorm?
Yeah.
Well, W Brainstorm, W Fun here. This is just incredible card advantage at the
But he only has the 1 lands.
The one blue source is an issue.
So he sort of has to put the Brainstorm on top here. Draw the Brainstorm. And then try to draw.
So he's done just that. He's going to Brainstorm. He's going to make a token.
Puts the token in play.
Yeah, a bit of improper sequencing, but we'll allow it.
The rules were only regular AL for the Highlander League. So.
Obviously, as much fun as we're going to have here.
So Brainstorms, and the 3rd card he revealed was Sphinx's Revelation. So he drew Jace, Gold's Shrine, and Sphinx's Revelation.
So a land and 2 spells he can't quite play.
See, this was the issue I had with the deck as well, with the mana base.
Yeah,
and you're seeing it
difficult.
quite here, where if Sav can't hit this blue land,
if
he's
that
in
fed
quite
a
a
heat
big
with a
trouble.
Mystic Gate, he'd be in almost an unlosable position. But right now, even though it is heavily in his favour, being unable to cast 2 of his spells is pretty difficult here.
And he just decided to kill it, which I think is the correct play. He doesn't really have a follow-up play, so he sort of just has to kill
The Bitter Blossom's doing a good job of the Gideon Juror, in fact, providing a cushion of his life total, and potentially aggression later. And,
so taps for mana, or
Wart Boggart Auntie. Now that is a very good card, because that is going to every turn bring back one of the goblins which Nick has fought so hard to kill back to his hand, providing him with a.
It seems like advantage. A very, very good draw here.
Very good draw.
But
bring back he can't bring back the Mog Catcher, but anything else is pretty good.
So the top of Sav's deck appears to be Jace.
Sphinx's Revelation still, or is that a Pestamine?
It's not Pestamine. I think it could be Sphinx, but it's definitely Jace, Architect of Thought, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
2 unplayable spells.
2 unplayable spells.
One unknown, which he will probably draw, I imagine.
So,
having trouble seeing this, he's obviously putting a token again.
Putting the token into play.
Now I'm not sure what Nick's life total is here, but I'd still put it in the above 10 at this stage, which is very commanding.
So Sav attacks with one of the tokens, which I don't really like that play at all.
No, with a Jitte you can just remove the untapped token and swing in for 5
damage.
damage.
I also don't like the fact that he main phase the top, because he doesn't have the top 2 cards, but you still don't know what the third card is. And Sav has a lot of mana here, so if the third card's a really good card, you could easily just put it to the top, draw it, and then still be able to play the Jace, which would leave you in a good spot, because you could bounce the Boggart Rain game.
Yeah. So Will Harriman's picking his Goblin to return to his hand. He's taking Kiki Chiki. I'm not sure if I agree with that, as he needs to draw another Goblin in conjunction with that to really capitalise on its ability.
Yeah, I'm not too sure that was... I like it. It's quite a different play, but
he's a Price of Progress set.
He ripped the Price of Progress off the
pretty
top.
big, and that has killed Nick Savitas. He must have been on less than 20 life, because that's generally about as much damage as Price of Progress is known to do. And that was out of nowhere.
That was so. Will Harriman wins game 1 of the quarterfinals.
I was not expecting that at all.
No, I thought Sav had that game quite locked up when he played the Gideon draw.
But like we say, it was more of a soft lock. He couldn't really put it away with either Jace.
Yeah, he was one blue source away from being quite a commanding lead. So now, as the 2 players go to the sideboard, we can have a quick look. We're just wandering through Harriman's sideboard. So he has quite a few different spicy cards in his sideboard that you would think he would bring in. The one that strikes my mind is Armageddon. That seems like a very, very good card here. And
Flashfires, potentially.
Flashfire, so his sideboard...
And Boil.
Yeah, he's got some very spicy cards. Do you want to read out what cards he has in his sideboard, Russ?
Well, Will Harriman has a plethora of land hate between Flashfires, Armageddon, and Boil. He also has Smokestack, which is probably not too relevant in this matchup, but Wear and Tear, Anarchy to destroy all planes and white permanents, Phyrexian Revoker, Sparksmith, which won't come in as it's more against the creature decks, Cover of Darkness, Vexing Shusher, a good anti-control card, but in this case not so good as we've discussed, not a counter deck, Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, Earwig Squad, Mogmaniac, and Boiling Seas.
So there's some very spicy cards there. What card do you think is most likely to come in?
Well, I really like Earwig Squad as a card. 5/3 for 3 mana off of a Goblin with a Prow, which allows him to tear out 3 pretty strong cards. Being a singleton format, it's even more strong to pick out the 3 best or the 3 worst cards for you in the deck. I can see that coming in, and maybe some of the white.
Yeah, I like bringing in some of the land destruction.
Oh yeah.
Destruction and the Phyrexian Revoker gives him an answer to Gideon Jura. Gideon Jura seems really problematic.
Very problematic
for the Goblin deck. So having Revoke in your deck gives you an answer to that.
Pithy Needle on a Bronze Sable is pretty good. It can still attack, which is very important for this aggressive type deck.
And then we have a quick look at Sav's sideboard. He has Crucible of Worlds, Blue Elemental Blast, Rest in Peace, Dust Bowl, Wormcoil Engine, Detention Sphere, Oblivion Ring, Dispel, Wrath of God, Nihil Spellbomb, Relic of Progenitus, Duress, Phyrexian Arena, Spell Pierce, and Pithy Needle.
This is a nightmare for Will. I see. There's a lot.
There's a lot of cards that are not good. The Goblin player wants to see.
I mean, Blue Elemental Blast, yeah.
Wormcoil Engine, Eye-Ring, Detention Sphere,
another Wrath.
Another Wrath. Because basically the way we built the Esper decks, we basically made it a very, very Wrath heavy. So Sav is already playing Toxic Deluge, Damnation, and Supreme Verdict. So he's already playing quite a lot of Wrath. So then he gets another one in Wrath of God as well, which are all very problematic for the Goblin deck to deal with. Because basically what the Goblin decks wants to do is put a lot of creatures onto the field very fast.
It does look like we've got a Boil coming in for Harriman. I think he's showing us some of the sideboard here.
Boil seems really spicy.
Boil Flashfires and Armageddon and just the burning, the Destroy All Plane.
Yeah.
Flashfires?
Yeah.
I mean...
Seems very spicy indeed. Seems like he's got a very control-heavy anti-sideboarding tech. So he's trying to blow up lands. Lands are bad for him. So he's like... Because if the games go long and players can cast their expensive spells, the Goblin deck's very far behind.
Now, interestingly enough, but I imagine that Will Harriman's playing both Blood Moon and Mates of the Moon.
He is, yes.
This seems a little bit problematic, especially with dual lands concerned, because then Boil and Flashfires both don't affect those cards, and if then Nick Sav is able to get rid of the enchantment or creature in question, he's able to retain those lands. So It may be a bit of what's
He
conventionally known as a non-bow, but...
he may have to play around some of his own cards to get the full value out of them. But as having a quick look at Harry's deck, his deck's really well designed to beat control decks. Like, he plays mainboard Thalia and Thorn of Amicus, as we saw in that matchup. It doesn't do a lot there. But
if it comes down on turn 2,
it's going to be a nightmare.
Turn 2,
it's very problematic. It means all the Sav's Wraths are a turn slower, all his Planeswalkers are a turn slower, which is very...
Most of his spells, really. I don't...
Yeah.
How many creatures do we see?
Yeah, the deck plays
none.
3 creatures.
Yeah.
Plays like Venser, Vidillion Clique, and
putting an extra
Mage.
mana on those is very restrictive.
So Thorn of Amicus and Thalia are both very, very good against the Sav deck.
A lot of work done there. But I'd just like to point out one of my issues with the sideboard card of Ulharman Flashfires. Now, that card is a sorcery. I don't think a card named Flashfire should be a sorcery when Boil itself is an instant. So, you know, that's nothing against Will personally. It's more a shout-out to Wizards of the Coast to stop designing terrible names for terrible cards.
You would call that a flavour failure?
I would call that a flavour failure. As a level 3 flavour judge, I'm not appeased.
So I just had a quick look at Sav's deck. So he plays 6 creatures in his deck. So he plays Baleful Strix, True Name Nemesis, which is a very, very hard card for Will's deck to deal with.
I just want to interrupt. We have the hands being drawn here. It looks
hands have been drawn.
Will's got a pretty quick hand. I've seen Krenko's Command and Legion Loyalist, so a very 1-2 punch there. Leading off with a tapped Hallowed Fountain, and I think Will's going to get in with that Legion Loyalist quick as anything. Really good opener.
It is. Legion Loyalist is a very, very good card.
No fear of, especially against the Bitter Blossom tokens, it can push through a lot of damage.
That's true, but I would have thought... We don't know what exactly the player sideboarded, but I would have thought Bitter Blossom would be sided out here.
That's true. It does actually hurt him a fair bit.
So plays Blackland and plays Duress.
Duress, I'm not sure if I agree with. Obviously, it's going to be very good here.
Reveals the Blood Moon.
And
Blood Moon is gone.
Krenko's Command into Golem Warchief, though, is still very dangerous.
His hand seems very, very good here. So he's got the 1-2-3 punch. So he's got Legion Loyalist in play. He's got the Chieftain as well. But
Savage absolutely has to take that Blood Moon. Right now, it would
it just destroys him.
Cripple him. So.
And Harriman just untaps and rips Ringleader.
That is incredible.
Like a true Golem player.
Like a true Golem player. The 1-2-3-4 now punch with potentially more. So we have a game, ladies and gentlemen. It will be an interesting one at that.
It'll be one very, very quick game.
In one way or another. And we see Liliana in Sav's hand. I'm not sure if I agree with that being left in.
Sav does have a Wrath, though. So he's got Supreme Verdict in hand.
Some excellent Pokemon tokens being used as goblins here, which is appreciated. And Sav's going to play that Jace.
This is basically the please hit my Jace, not me phase.
I don't think that's going to do much. I mean, if I'm the Goblin player, I'm just going to kill the player controlling the Planeswalker.
Well, basically you're hoping here that Harriman attacks the Jace. That way the Jace takes on the damage you don't. You're basically playing it as a roadblock.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't hit, you still draw an extra card, which is still very, very decent here.
Still good, but more of a Lamb's Bleat and a Massacre. I mean, this is just looking terrible for Vetus with his Goblin Shafting coming down. Absolute damage out.
And he does attack the Jace.
Well, that's fine. I mean, he's still hitting Nick for 6 damage here.
6.
Absolutely incredible. And
so Sav plays a Pluto Delta, pays Life Go Search, so
he can't be below 10. Any sort of pressure from here is probably just going to be lethal. He has to pull something out right now. Some sort of Wrath.
He has the Supreme Verdict in hand, so he's just searching the Scrubland here so he can have the right man to play the Supreme Verdict, but still not looking good for Sav because we know he's got Ringleader in hand.
Ringleader's going to restock the hand, has haste itself, will come in for 2 on the turn it comes down, while probably restocking Will Harriman's hand. And he's Damnation.
So he's got 2 Wraths in hand.
Well, that may in fact give Sav a bit more of a cushion, but still, Harriman's going to put himself back into the race with this Ringleader.
There's the Ringleader.
Foil 1, which I really like. Oh, and he's hit 1,
Whoa,
2.
Bushwhacker.
Hit 2 out of 4. Pretty good. One of them's a Matron.
Matron and Bushwhacker.
So he's got a Tutor and a way to abuse it with the Bushwhacker.
That seems like two very good cards to reveal.
If you're going to pick 2 of 4, they're the 2 I'd really want.
So that 7 tapped draws Ancient Tomb, which is
not a good land here.
Which is not the greatest draw here against the Goblins player.
And we have Inquisition, and that's going to do absolutely nothing. Oh wait, Inquisition?
Yeah, Inquisition.
The Incinerator can't hit players. The Lightning Crafter is pretty dangerous.
I think it's the Bushwhacker.
Over the Matron?
I think so. Because I think you can't deal with the haste creatures. Because you want him not to be playing haste creatures, but he takes the matron.
Takes the matron of the pseudo anthem effect in the bushwhacker, but that does leave Harriman with the lightning crafter, which can definitely close out the race.
But he plays Jace here, which
Is
seems not.
That's very
the world's
greedy
best
with
play.
the ancient tomb taking 2 more damage.
Yeah,
I mean, he can just play the lightning crafter and.
I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. I'm a big fan of that play.
He's grasping.
But he did draw Engineered Explosives and Lingering Souls,
both very good cards,
which are both very good cards here. But so he puts the Lingering Souls back on top and land, I think.
Burying it beneath. I would want the Lingering Souls.
I think I would have wanted the Lingering Souls on top there.
I suppose he can draw it next turn off the Jace anyway.
Harriman draws another land, but this is now.
But that's fine. He's got enough cards to really work with the mana, so it's okay at this point. And here we have that being cast in the Incinerator and a Bushwhacker with Kicker, which is going to deal a lot of damage. I mean, that's 10 odd damage there. Wait, 8? 3, 6, 8. I believe that's 8 damage. And that's just
hacks it up.
Hacks it up, must have been lethal. So 2-0 here so far to Harriman. These games are best out of 5, as we've discussed. And looks like there won't be any sideboarding between games. Do you agree with this?
Because you got to see what your opponent had. Everyone in this top 8 got to look at their opponent's deck list just before they played their match. So you already have a rough idea going in what you want and what you don't want.
I suppose so.
But I think some cards certainly vary on whether you're in the play or the draw.
Yeah.
And the fact that
it looks like Harriman's reaching.
Harriman's on the draw. It looks like he wants maybe changing his mind on 1 or 2 cards. And
he was
puts
on the
it
draw
back
that game as well. So
that's true, but sometimes you realise you make mistakes when you're sideboarding and
and you know your opponent's sideboarded now, so you may be able to react to that.
Yeah, for sure.
I personally am a huge advocate of like sideboarding, even if you don't sideboard, chucking that sideboard back in, shuffling.
I always like to think
out 15.
what I'm gonna do. So I always at least try to pick up my deck, because sometimes some things spring to mind. Sometimes you see a card do something than what you wasn't sure that it would do in a specific way, and you would like an answer for that, so you just re-sideboard.
Well, even if you don't actually sideboard, chucking those cards in and then taking out 15 takes away information from the opponent. They might think you're doing something else and rethink about what they're doing and possibly psych them out. So any advantage is always pretty fun, in my mind anyway.
Yeah.
And shuffling up for game 3, we'll have Nick Savitas on the play again, although he is on the bubble, as it were.
He is. He's going to have to go 3-0 from here to progress to the semi-finals.
How do you find his chances, Rob?
Like I said, I'm a big fan of this deck, especially against aggro decks, but I feel like that the mana base isn't quite right.
Letting the deck down a little bit.
Letting the deck down a little bit, and it's not like Sav's had a lot of experience playing against Goblin players.
The Goblin deck is an outlier, really.
It's more of a fringe deck. I would call it probably tier 2. A few people now that have started playing this deck.
Really?
It's not. Yeah, there was 2 or 3 versions of it in the league.
Okay.
So it's become quite popular here in Adelaide. So we've drawn hands for game 3.
Yeah.
Sav's hand looked awful,
and he
has thrown it back.
And
Harriman's hand looks very good. I see
flash fires there.
Flash fires. I see Lackey.
That is incredible.
Lackey, and I think I saw a Mountain.
Card.
So
that's all you really need.
Especially when your opponent, Mountain and Lackey's probably good enough here. Especially because Sav has mulligans.
Your Lackey being a card, if you have any amount of goblins in your hand, you're really cheating the game, accelerating.
You really are breaking rules of magic with Lackey.
Oh yeah, especially if you have something stupid like a Siege Gang Commander, or is that we have a Lackey, a Flash Fires.
So Sav has kept his 6, sacks the Polluted Delta, putting himself down to 19.
Playing right into Will Harriman's hands. And we have a Underground Sea, by the look of it. Will we see a turn 1 discard spell? I believe
I think I saw an Inquisition in Sav's hand.
Inquisition is probably the best thing you want right now. Far better than either Duress or
He does have Inquisition.
That's going to help.
Probably takes out Lackey.
I would be taking that Lackey in a heartbeat.
So he's got
Will Harriman thinks so too.
Lackey, Recruiter
and Lackey, that could just be absolutely
Flash Fires and 4 land.
Surely you take the Lackey. I mean,
you have to take the Lackey. Lackey is too good, but he takes the Recruiter.
Okay. Well, I suppose Will Harriman now is forced to draw a Goblin to make the Lackey.
Yeah, so maybe he's trying to hedge his bets so he doesn't draw a Goblin.
It looks like he's drawn a Matron.
But he just threw back Matron off the top
and
anyways.
That's going to be incredible.
So plays Lackey, Sav draws for his turn.
He's got the potential.
Draws a Guileless Shrine, plays it tapped. Says go.
Will Harriman now has the potential to swing in and basically get a free demonic shooter, which is going to be incredible for the Goblin deck here.
Yeah, this team is very bad on Sav's behalf.
Unless he's got some sort of...
I understand taking the recruiter.
He's taking the damage, and here comes the matron, and that is going to be devastating.
I'm not too sure I like Sav's plan about taking the Lackey there. Like, he is playing Goblin, so there is a good chance over 2 draws.
He's going to draw any Goblin,
yeah, like,
right?
Recruiter's powerful, but Lackey's, like, really, really powerful.
Lackey, he might not have known much about Lackey. Lackey back in the day was just one of the scariest things known to man. Is that a recruit? That is a recruit. What did he take then?
So he took...
a ringleader, perhaps?
No, he took Imperial Recruiter.
Imperial Recruiter. Now he's got the far better Recruiter.
Now he's got the better Recruiter for his deck.
And that is a face-down card, presumably some sort of land, I would imagine, a proxy of some such. And that Goblin Recruiter, if that lands, it is just absolutely horrific.
Turn 2 Recruiter seems good.
He's played it, obviously, the matron being free, and he's just going to search up all the tools he needs to take down Sav. Sav needs something very big, very soon.
Sav probably needs his opponent to have a heart attack, yeah.
Yeah, that's about the stretch. I mean, he's got a handful of land, so he can play any number of these goblins. He's just laying it in front of Sav.
He's like, I'm going to draw these goblins, and I'm going to draw them in this order.
If you're looking at Sav's face, he's just like, oh god, this isn't good. And looking at that pile, I would just be terrified, honestly. Harriman's jovial, as he should be. I mean, look at those goblins in front of him.
He's got quite a big smile on his face.
Those little red men.
That's a smile of someone knowing they're advancing to the semi-finals.
That is, well, he's 2-0 up and he's just landed a recruiter with...
On turn 2.
On 2 with the Lucky in play, so I can't imagine he's unhappy. If he just gets the ringleader next turn, he's going to draw 4 goblins after that. He's just more than ancestral recalls for free. There's incredible synergy in this goblin deck. I like it a lot, I must say. It is, it's pretty satisfying to watch.
So we wait here while Harriman stacks his deck appropriately.
Normally deck stacking is illegal, but in this case I think we'll allow it.
Sav looks like he knows his fate is done.
Yeah, he's always a good man though. He'll play it to the end. He'll play it out.
He's one of the more nicer guys that you'll find running around Adelaide.
Yeah, like I was saying before, he's definitely come up in the last 2 years. He's a very recent addition to the Adelaide Magic the Gathering scene, but
come in. He used to be quite a good Yu-Gi-Oh player.
But glad he switched to the light side.
He may have even top 8 at Yu-Gi-Oh Nationals a few years ago.
Wouldn't surprise me. But
and then has moved over to Magic.
Yeah, and he's definitely rising to the ranks. He's had a PTQ top 8 or 2. Always a solid player. Always.
So Harriman stacked his deck. And said, Sav, you can have a turn.
And Sav's drawn a land.
Sav's drawn another. So he has cancelled Judgment Hand, which is going to destroy one of his creatures.
one creature for one. Not so great. I mean, it's going to hit the Lackey here. Has to. Absolutely has to Lackey. Just to slow him down.
It's the Lackey.
Yeah, I
to
think,
the surprise of no one.
I think that we might also vote for the Lackey.
So he untaps, draws.
A goblin?
He's shocking he drew a goblin. Who would have guessed it?
I'm surprised. And he's going to swing in for 2. Nothing great, but he's just drawing gas for the rest of the game. It's pretty hard.
And Sav's hand of 3 lands, as he's shown us generally in the hand cam.
He's looking very impressed here.
So he's attacked for 2.
And Sav's going to pick up the draw. He's going to need something. A Wrath here is going to help him out. But he
ripped a Tendon Sphere, which is not that great here.
I don't think it's great.
I don't even think you even play it here.
No, you have to wait for a better target. I mean, they're both 1-1s at this stage. They've done their thing. And Will's, I'm not sure what Will's going to draw. Maybe a goblin? It looks like a goblin.
He did draw a goblin.
Wow.
Looks like ringleader.
Oh, that's going to be good.
That's
I wonder how many that's going to hit.
Yeah, I wonder how many. 1, 2, 3... Draws 4 cards.
Is that what's known as the God Ringleader? I mean, how many times did that happen? Probably 100% after a recruiter.
Happens very consistently.
That is incredible.
And Sav is in big trouble here. Draws another land.
I mean, he's drawn 4 cards off of 1. I mean, that is incredible.
And has revealed his hand full and has conceded. And Will Harriman will move on to the semi-finals.
In 3 games.
In 3 games. Clean sweep Sav in 3 games to nothing.
Yeah.